What's up, guys? Paul Wolff here. We're back here at the Wolff Racing compound. Obviously we started tearing into the 44 car already, trying to get it prepped and ready for the next go around, most likely be Crandon. We're going to do a post-race recap of Reading, Pennsylvania and the Ultra4 race up there. I got what I asked for in the driver's meeting, which was rocks and harder race course, and I thought it was awesome. I think most drivers that race that course will agree with that. I hope that they continue on with that pattern and continue racing that way. I think it was great. I think it was a fun race, and it was a true endurance race. Rolling right on into the race and doing a post-race recap. We had 44 car up there. We come out, we qualified first on the pole, so really happy with that. Dylan did a neat little video of watching the car run through the trees and just how tight it really was getting this thing through the trees and being able to qualify first. I was really happy. And then rolling on into the race day, so with us qualifying on the pole, it meant we start side by side. We got the inside of the first turn, so I was pretty confident we could pull off and take off out front with having that inside line on the first turn. And that's exactly what we did, which worked out really good because my ultimate goal was to get to the joker line first before anybody else. And the reason being is the joker line was really cool in that it had water running down the joker line. So when you turned into the bottom of the joker line, you were running through 6 inches to a foot of water running stream. I'm sure it was spring fed from somewhere. Super clear water coming down, and I knew that the more people that went up that line would track the water up onto the dirt when you got towards the top and make it really slick. So it was really weird. The bottom of it, the fresh water had all the rocks washed clean, so you had a lot of traction. But as you got up farther up it, the water narrowed and the dirt walls were there. And when you got on that dirt and mixed the water, it got really slick and became more difficult. So being that I'm a single seat, I wanted to get there first and be the first person on it and the first person up it, because I think it would give me the best advantage to climb. So that's where that qualifying first on the pole position really helped out. And actually everything went right to plan. We got out front, we were able to pull that inside line on Phillip and get out in front of him. We ran extremely hard the first, I guess, half a lap to get to the joker line, and we tried to put a little buffer between us. I say we, me and the pit crew, we discussed putting a buffer between us and Phillip, so that way if I did have problems, have to get out and winch, I had a few seconds there to get this stuff going before he got there and was behind me. Which we didn't have to winch, we were able to climb it out the top, and we ran the first lap. I think the fastest lap of the day, fastest lap of the whole weekend, was our first lap around. Super happy with that. And then we come right into second lap, laid down another good one. I think it was the third lap where lap traffic started becoming a big issue. We were running out front, had a pretty good lead going, felt really comfortable with everything. Come into the bottom of the rocks, and there was a guy twisted up in there sideways. He was having a bad day. Got in a one lane section, and somehow he was in it crooked and sideways and bound up. And while he was winching, I was just sitting there. The rules of Ultra4 is you have to go through the obstacle. You can't cut course. So that's part of it. You have to sit there and wait. And that allowed, ended up being Josh Blyler to get all the way to my back bumper. He was running in second. So then he was behind me physically, but he overtook the lead in the race because of our corrected time. I had to be a minute ahead of him. So by the time they cleared that, we left bumper to bumper, and he stayed right with me through the rocks. We got out of the rocks, crossed the finish line, which put him in first place and me about a minute behind roughly. So I had to get a minute gap between us. I pushed really hard out, and I call it the back section, the high speed stuff, and the tight woods. I pushed really hard on the car and was able to gain a bunch of time back. We come back into the rocks again, same scenario, different car, had a bad line, got crossed up. We had to sit there and wait and let Josh catch me again. This actually happened 3 different times. So 3 times I had the lead, had a good spot going. They closed back up on top of me, and I gave the lead up pretty much because the finish line was only a quarter mile from the rocks. So I knew if I got caught up in the rocks on the last lap, I was going to be in a world of trouble because I was going to probably give the race to Josh. So with that being said, the next lap, I think it was lap 5 or 6, somewhere in there, I just pushed. Knew I had to get to the back section, get around the cars, put cars between me and Josh is my number one goal, was to get lap guys in between me and him. So if they had a problem, it would open my gap up versus close it up. So I do have to tell a little story about this right here. I apologize to the guys. I hit a car pretty hard in a high-speed section. Was not my intention. I want to apologize again and kind of explain. I come down a high speed, we're running over 100 mile an hour, and we make a tight left turn, and they were braking into the turn, and I started braking behind them, and I just had too much speed. The car, it was raining, and the car started skating, and I slid right into the back of them, hit them pretty hard. I apologized to them at the race afterwards. I want to apologize again. I should never hit somebody that hard, and I hope I didn't hurt your guys' car. If I did, again, I apologize for that. But it's part of racing, so moving on through it. We were able to get through on the 6th lap, the rocks clean, had a pretty good lead, about a 3-minute lead, maybe 4-minute lead. And we decided we're gonna come into pit, get a splash of fuel before we go on the last lap, just to be safe. We knew we were cutting it close on fuel, and I pulled in the pit and the car shut off. So, didn't know immediately what happened. Hindsight is the alternator quit charging and wasn't charging the batteries, and the batteries turned off, and it completely shut the Holly and everything off. At the time, I didn't know. I thought maybe we had a loose battery cable or something like that, because nothing in the dash would turn on. So I just assumed that we lost some major power source. I didn't think about an alternator. And what happened is we had ion batteries in there. Well, lithium ion batteries, when they get to such a low voltage, they turn themselves off to stop from melting down. And just not putting all the pieces together on the fly, I thought we had a different issue. I thought we had a battery issue versus an alternator issue. And so we actually changed batteries. We did a bunch of stuff to the car. It wasn't working, and so I knew I just needed to get across the line to get my 6th lap in. That way, if anybody that made the last lap would beat me, but anybody that made 6 laps wouldn't beat me, because I had the fastest 6 laps. So we strapped the battery to the hood of the car, drove it across the start line, and then looped back around, which put us out of the race, because once you go off course, you can't fix your car and come back onto course like that. So it was a heat of the moment decision to make. Looking back now, knowing more of what actually happened with the car, I would have changed the alternator and just swapped batteries and ran the car through the probably last lap, and we probably could have ended up on the podium. But in the heat of the moment, making decisions, we're a budgeted race team, so the other decision was not to go beat the car up, and potentially we had a battery on the hood and had a bunch of jumper cables on it. I didn't want to burn the car down. That was my biggest fear, was we take off with a bunch of low voltage, and the car, something happens, the car ends up on fire, and we lose our entire race program. So that was the other decision, to just call it and finish the lap and be done. So now, with all that said, that's pretty much how we did. Car performed awesome. I think we proved that an IFS car can run on the East Coast and can make it. It's definitely gets skinny a lot. There was a few spots we had to do a little tree clearing, but we were able to make it through, and the car fit, and it was still in one piece until I took it apart. So now on to a couple questions. We asked people for questions, so we're going to do 3 questions here real quick with this video, and we'll start it off. The first one is, what is your plan to overtake Lauren at Crandon this year and take his big house crown away from him? I think last year we had a really good car. We were running older shocks on it then, and it was really our first time doing a lot of testing. I have some upgraded parts on the car now than what I had last year, so I think that'll help us with speed. The other side of it is I'm not going to wait as long to push. I waited pretty late in the race to make a hard push last year, and it worked. We got to him. We actually overtook him, and we had some issues with some oil pressure going on in the car that was depowering the car when I landed off of jumps, and I left the door open. He drove right back around me. The car was no power. So we think we got that problem fixed. We ain't had that problem all year. So I think being able to continue having power after the jumps will kind of take care of itself. And we just got to go out and do our job. The car's fast. We know it's fast. We proved it several times, so I guess it's on me as a driver to do my job. Now moving on through, we got another one. What is your ultimate goal in racing? Are you building a new UTV? And are you Chuck Norris's and Bruce Lee's son? I can neither confirm or deny any allegations with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. Let's just clarify that right now. Am I going to build a new UTV? Yes. I'm working on building a new UTV currently. I will be selling my Hammers car from this year. And then what's my goal in racing? My goal in racing is I love racing. I love racing everywhere. I love going everywhere to race. So if I can continue to pay my bills, my house payment, my shop payments, all that stuff, and still race cars, that's my ultimate goal, is to be able to do it for a living fully. And I think we're heading the right direction with that, and I want to continue to move that forward. And eventually, I personally like doing a little bit of trail wheeling, like overlanding type stuff, and I'd like to start branching into that a little bit in the next few years. So that's kind of where we're heading with the racing program. What else we have? When is the 4600 car going to be ready to race? So 4600 car, we're actually doing a 4500 car. Dan Wyrick built it with Joe Thompson at UFO. I've been asked to help co-drive it and drive it both. So that'll be the next car I'm doing. 4600, I've been talking to a lot of people and manufacturers trying to get a program, honestly, to go against the Ford Bronco, is what I'd like to do. It hasn't happened yet, but it's still, it's not off the table by any means. We're still working on it. So hopefully we can get some more stuff moving forward on that side of things, and that would be awesome. But for right now, it'll be the 4500. I'll be racing with Dan Wyrick, and we'll be trading. He'll be driving, I'll be driving back and forth. I'm just happy that Dan offered me a spot in the 4500, so I greatly appreciate that. And I think that's all we're going to do for right now. That's 3 of them. We'll answer 3 more probably on some other videos.